That's where I'm going right now. Hasn't gone in there yet. And we are live. There you go. Share this to my.
All right, we're set.
All right. So let me copy this link. Come over here. Paste it here.
Is there a way you can share this?
And here we go. All right, we're sharing. We're live. Hey, everybody, welcome. And we don't have an official name for what I've been doing, but I'll call it the Building Your Own Economy series. And today we're going to emphasize put an emphasis in energy. So I believe that everybody should build their own economy. And part of the four concepts, or the four core components rather, of an economy, one of them being health. And health is really something that I think most of us take for granted most days, because it's something that you don't really see, and something maybe you can feel, but you don't see so often. And so I thought, what better way than to talk about health and to talk about energy. And I wanted to bring the number one authority in energy and stamina to an interview, somebody who I respect, somebody who I've worked with, and somebody I trust, because I believe that's really important, by the way. Whenever you do business, whenever you work with somebody, I mean, you should really have somebody you believe in and trust. And so this is important for me. So I brought Steve Martinez. He's my guy here. And so I don't want him just to be looking cute on this other side of the camera here. I'm going to interview him here today. So before we begin, though, if you guys have questions while we go through this thing, please put them in the comment section. We'll answer them as they come through. Some comments I can, and some comments I can't see for some reason. But if I don't get to them, direct message me, and I'll ask those questions directly to myself or Steve if they relate to either one of us. But just know that this is an open forum for you to learn as much as you can, because I promise we're going to deliver a lot of value here as it relates to health. And if this is an area that you're challenged in, something you feel like you need to know more about, this is definitely the right interview for you to watch. So let's turn this over to Mr. Steve. How are you, man?
Good, doing great, David. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's going to be fun tonight.
Yeah, it is. And so I wanted to bring you here and to talk about energy, because definitely you have a lot of energy. If you guys can't tell, he's energetic. and so Steve, kind of tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it, and how you do it differently.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you. Yeah, so my name is Steve Martinez. I'm a physician assistant, and my clinic that I run is called Restore Wellness, and it's a functional medicine clinic where we focus on, getting down to the root cause of our guests' symptoms. And that's one of the philosophies we have, because there's a difference between medicine. And people may not realize that there's two different schools of medicine that you could receive when you go to a clinic or your doctor's appointment or the hospital even. And one is conventional and the other is functional. So we practice functional medicine. And what functional medicine is, really get down to what we believe. We believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to thrive in life, not just survive, but to truly thrive. And that's the difference in many philosophies of medicine, because a lot of times what we're doing in medicine is we're just helping our patients get by, not to really take it to the next level, but just to get by. And that's where we are different, because we're not interested in just having you just survive. We want you to thrive in life. So how we do that is different for each person. Every therapy needs to be customized for each individual. And that's what we truly believe. We truly believe that taking time, learning about your story, not rushing you out the door, but really working together as a team to get you where you want to be. And that's what we do. That's what we accomplish. But to do so in a natural way, not a synthetic way, not sending you to the pharmacy, but to really work together to help optimize who you are, to help create something what we call cellular efficiency, to help you reach your goals, your dreams, things you want to accomplish. And those are very, very important to us. So that's what we do, Dave, and we love what we do. We have a lot of success. People are happy. And, I couldn't imagine doing anything different. And, I'm really just blessed to do what I get to do every day.
So what I heard here, and just to be clear, and I want to make sure the audience heard it, is you don't really just treat people with a drug or a prescription when they come to you. You think more into it than that, right? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, because we got to ask, in my opinion, we got to ask the question why in medicine. We're not asking that question enough, because if we have symptoms, say it's anxiety or fatigue, depression, hair issues, skin issues, weight issues, mood issues, chronic pain issues, gastritis, insomnia, there's a reason why we experience those symptoms. We just don't feel something for no reason. There is a reason why. And so we need to get down to what we call the root cause. If we never get down to that root cause, again, in my opinion, we're just playing Band-Aid medicine. We're just kind of covering things up, making things look nice, but we're never really truly helping anybody heal from what they're experiencing. So if we have anxiety or hypertension, which is elevated blood pressure or elevated cholesterol or diabetes, the question we need to ask is why? What's causing these things in the first place? And we do that. We do that on an everyday basis. You know, say we get up in the morning and when we put our keys in the ignition and our car doesn't start. We ask ourselves, my gosh, what's going on? Why isn't my car starting, right? We ask ourselves that question. Or if you go outside and say, man, my grass is dying in the front yard. You know, why is my grass dying? You know, we ask ourselves these questions all the time, but I feel that we don't ask enough in medicine, especially when we're investing in our own health. So I encourage all of those that I serve, all of our guests that come to our clinic, to say, ask that question why. Get involved in your health. Take charge of your health, because that's where we really see the magic happen and helping you get where you want to be. So again, it's not about covering the symptoms. It's about treating the system that's producing the symptoms in the first place. And that's how functional medicine is different. We're getting down to those root causes. Maybe it's your hormones. Maybe it's your gut health. Maybe it's minerals. Maybe it's vitamins. Maybe we have something called methylation issues where we're just not converting or processing things normally in our body. So these are the questions we need to ask, because I can have 10 people lined up in front of me and they all have gastritis, bloating, anxiety, and they can't sleep at night, but they could be experiencing these symptoms for different reasons. And so that's why we don't have any cookie cutter therapies. That's why we don't do a one size fits all therapy. It's all customized for the individual to help you achieve your goals and what you want to accomplish. And that's what we do on an everyday basis in a clean, natural way.
So tell me some of the most common things today that people, I guess, misunderstand. Let's talk. I mean, because honestly, I have family members who, and I'm kind of blessed. Honestly, over the course of the last few years, I've really worked on my health, and so I don't have a lot of underlying issues. I know that, but I have a lot of family members and friends who do. So, for an example, some people have diabetes or high blood pressure or fatigue or things of that nature. So what are some of the things that you see that are most commonly kind of misdiagnosed and they say medicated that could be easily treated?
Yeah, I think a lot of things are, in my opinion. Like when you talk about blood pressure or diabetes, like you mentioned, or elevated cholesterol, or fatigue, or headaches, anxiety, depression, gastritis, constipation, diarrhea.
What about, let's use headaches, man, because I know people that get headaches all the time. I know that's like a common thing for a lot of people. What do you think? I know obviously everybody's different, so I know you can't just say everybody's this way, but what is your body really saying when you got a headache?
When you got a headache, I need help. It needs help. So, something's going on. Something's not clicking. It's like having your car smoke, out of the exhaust pipe. Your engine's not running correctly. So the question is why. So a lot of times in our society, if we want to kind of generalize things, like, hey, I have headaches. Why am I having headaches? The number one thing that I see happen at my clinic is stress. Stress is causing headaches. Now, stress causes a lot of things. So your stress causes anxiety and depression, weight gain, loss of muscle mass, low libido, erectile dysfunction, insomnia, you name it. Stress is involved in so many different things. And that's one of the cool things that we're going to dive into during the conference on the 30th, David, is really kind of talking about these things, because let's face it, we're all stressed to certain levels for different reasons, whether it be mentally, physically, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, you name it. Our bodies respond in the same way. It doesn't matter where the stress is coming from. That's
so do you feel like everybody who sees you is stressed out in some way?
In some way, yeah. Yeah, in some way, yes. Our world is so busy, and the noise around us is to the next level. We don't even realize that. Why? Because we classify it as being normal. Right? Yeah. But a lot of times, things that we experience on an everyday basis, our bodies are resilient and they can withstand it to a certain point. But once it passes that and crosses that threshold, then we start experiencing symptoms. And so
Yeah.
that's where it comes in. So our bodies, when we have someone, if someone was to come to me and say, man, I've been experiencing headaches for the last 6 weeks. I can't sleep at night. You know, what's going on? Their issue didn't start 6 weeks ago. Their issue started maybe about 10, 15 years ago. And so that's where we got to peel back the layers. And that's why every visit with us is about an hour to an hour and a half, because we got to peel back those layers to get down to learn who you are as an individual. We got to learn your story. The average, I'm not sure if you know, Steve, but the average visit time per patient and clinician, the average across the United States is 7 minutes.
So wait, just to be clear, you're saying 7 minutes when you see a doctor, that's the average time you spend with a doctor.
That is the average time. Now,
you know, somebody in the medical, somebody you're visiting, right? That's what you're saying, right?
Absolutely. 7 minutes. That's the national average. 7 minutes. Now, what can we accomplish in 7 minutes? That's barely for you to, you know, sit down and just say.
You can't even eat. You can't even. You can't even have a meal. So what is it in relations to that? So what is the goal for you, knowing that number and being a badass in this business? How long do you spend with a guest?
Yeah, we times that by 10, 12, 15, you know.
Really?
At least an hour, hour and a half, because we have to, again, learn your story. You know, you might have symptoms. I get it. And that's why you visit us. And that's what I'm looking to help you overcome. But I have to know the reasons why. I mean, I have people who are in their 70s that had gut issues since they were 1 year old. So I got to talk about, you know, how were you born, through natural vaginal birth or through C-section? Were you breastfed? Yes or no? You know, did you have a long history of antibiotics? You know, were you, you know, did you have a lot of earaches or strep throat growing up? These things matter because they develop who we are as adults. And also, if we have symptoms and things that we're experiencing at a younger age, well, guess what? They chip away at us. They chip little by little, and eventually it's a big problem.
So you just touched on some things, because, you know, I want to open up some cans here, because I learned some things recently from you that I was just mind blowing. Like when you talked about, you know, the way you were born has a big impact on your immune system and the things that you go through life. And I had no clue on this stuff, by the way. I'm clueless because obviously I'm a man and I don't think like that. Not to be sexist or anything, but I don't think about how babies are born every day, right? I don't think that. I'm not a medical professional. So you're telling me that how somebody actually has a baby has a big impact on the baby's health and the baby's future?
Absolutely. That's number one. So a lot of times, so 2/3 of our immune system is in our gut. The gut's connected to everything. If we have everything that we could potentially experience along our health and wellness journey that we're having complications with, could be tied to our gut, our microbiome, our GI system in some way. So it's very important that we look back at that. And if you have stomach issues or complications, to ask the question, well, how long have they been going on? Oh man, I've been going through this since I was little. Really? Okay, well, you're 56 right now, or you're 38 right now. Little, what does little mean? Oh man, I remember, you know, being constipated or diarrhea, or I was always going to the doctors, getting antibiotics, always having an earache or allergies or asthma since I was little. What's going on? Why were you experiencing these complications at such an early age? Well, a lot of times it has to go to our stomach. So some of the first questions I ask, again, like we talked about, were you born through natural vaginal birth? Or were you born through C-section? Why? Because here's the reason why. When we're born through natural vaginal birth, what we're able to receive as an infant is all the good bacteria from our mom. That bacteria is so important. It goes in our nose, our eyes, our mouth, our ears, our skin, our hair. All that bacteria goes into our system and poof, it goes into our stomach and kickstarts our immune system. Wow. So you're having that bond with your mother, and that is how you were created, to have that bond. But if you're born through C-section, guess what? You're not having the bond with your mom like you're supposed to. You're having the bond with the surgeon who's delivering you. And that's not the way you're created. You weren't created to have that bond with the surgeon. You were created to have the bond with your mother, but you're being denied that opportunity. Why? Because you're being born through C-section. So if you're not having that good bacteria go down into your system to kickstart your gut health, guess what? Your immune system's off to a very poor start. And that's why a lot of the times, not every time, but a lot of the times, people experience illnesses, asthma, allergies, GI system. They're very colicky, gassy, burpy, bloating, constipation.
Wow.
Why? Because the microbiome, which is the good bacteria in your stomach, hasn't been developed or given the opportunity to thrive like it was supposed to. So people are actually starting to wake up to this. And so what they're doing now is that, no, I get it. Sometimes you need to be born through C-section. And so what they're doing, if that needs to happen, what they're doing is they're actually taking a Q-tip now and swabbing the mother. And actually, when the baby's born, they're rubbing the Q-tip in the nose and the mouth and the ears all over the baby, because they know how important that microbiome is, that bacteria from the mom is for the development in the immune system of their child. So that's just one little piece, things that we need to talk about in medicine, because these are the systems that, if they're not functioning at optimal levels, they will produce what? Symptoms. And we're all about figuring out the root cause, and that could be one of the most common root causes.
So here's a question. I mean, we don't need to stick on that topic, but are you just saying that whenever somebody visits you, that's a question you may ask? How were you born? I mean, not how were you, but obviously the I don't know what the technical term would be.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I say, okay, I say, like, let's take a trip back to memory lane. Let's talk about the day you joined us in this beautiful world. You know, how were you delivered? You know, and they look at me kind of crazy, like, you know, why is this guy asking me these types of questions? But I think as we develop that relationship, because it's about developing a relationship. I can't develop a relationship with somebody in 7 minutes, and it's hard to develop really a trustful relationship in 70 minutes. But we try our best. But really, to me, I want to learn about each individual, because we're all unique. So yeah, exactly. So the moment you were born, even getting down to being breastfed, and then when we're talking about things like leaky guts, you know, even as an infant, you know, the colostrum, the golden milk with being breastfed. So those, again, those who weren't breastfed, a lot of times they have stomach complications. Why? Because they have something called intestinal permeability, which is also known as leaky gut, which is a whole nother, you know, world that we can talk about when we talk about hormones and thyroid and estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone and menstrual cycle. We can go on for days.
I can tell. So to go from here, let's kind of talk about something that's really important to everybody. So I know, even personally, in the last few years, I mean, here's actually a really good question. So most people think that energy is really dependent upon age. So when somebody says, well, the reason I'm losing energy, or I don't feel so peppy, I don't feel so excited, is because I'm getting old. Is that really something that is true, and is something we should be thinking about? I mean,
yes, it is. But here's the caveat to that. So a lot of times that's the story I hear. It's like, oh, well, I'm having headaches, I'm gaining weight, I'm losing my libido, I have erectile dysfunction, I'm just, you know, I'm losing my muscle mass, I have joint pain now, I'm losing my hair or whatever. That's just because that's just my age. I'm kind of getting older. And they kind of like just say that like nonchalantly, and it's like, you know, kind of bypassing, oh, that's just normal. Well, that's the medical revolution that we're trying to change. And the question is, we feel that way as we get older. Say you have a 60-year-old that has A, B, C, and D symptoms, and he wasn't experiencing that when he was 30. He's like, oh yeah, I'm just getting older. And I agree with that. It's like, yeah, you're right. You're feeling probably what you're feeling because you are advancing in age. But the question we should be asking is, what has changed over those 30 years? That's the question we should be asking, because probably a lot has changed that added to the reason why we feel something. So for example, maybe it's your testosterone, maybe it's your thyroid, maybe it's your cortisol levels, maybe it's your growth hormone, maybe it's your IGF-1 levels, which stands for insulin-like growth factor 1. Maybe it's these things that are now decreasing, which increases your symptoms. So when we talk about anti-aging medicine or regenerative medicine, which is what we practice at Restore Wellness, we're looking at, again, getting down to those root causes. What has changed? Where at in your system, where at in your body is producing your symptoms? But not only when we find out that reason why, the question is, what's going on with it? Why is it responding that way? Why is your thyroid functioning at lower levels now than it did 30 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 6 months ago?
How do you know somebody's thyroid, by the way, is low? Like, I mean, can you see that, or are you testing everybody?
A lot of times we take a deep dive into thyroid because of this reason. We talk about hormones, and a lot of times people feel the way they feel because your hormones decrease as you age. That's a normal thing. There's nothing wrong with you when that happens, but that is what happens. So hormone optimization is very important for us to have the energy, vitality, enthusiasm that we want. So how we achieve those optimal levels. We don't want just normal levels. We want optimal levels. And that's where the magic's made. And that's where you get your groove back in many different ways.
So you test people is what you're saying, right? You test
through blood, through saliva, through urine, different modalities to get the answers we need. So when we think about hormones, I want everyone to think about hormones as like a symphony. We want the music to sound good. We want the music to be playing at the right time, the right tune. We want everything to be in sync. So the conductor of that hormonal symphony is the thyroid. So we don't want the thyroid just to kind of be eking by, not really functioning on all cylinders, just kind of surviving and not thriving. Because when that happens, it creates a ripple effect with everything other hormone in our body, and that's when we really have some bad results. So yes,
you test. So here's a question that I think, and you just explained this to me recently, and I think the viewers would love this. I remember going to get some labs done from my doctor, my primary care physician, maybe 6-8 months ago. And I was on this, I think I need to figure out what's wrong with me. And don't get me wrong, I really respect the doctor that I go to. He's a great guy. And he told me, well, I can test everything. So I said, test everything, right? Just bring it on, man. Like, I don't care what it is, bring it on, right? I said, I'm 37 years old, and I know for a fact my body is not functioning correctly because I feel fatigue. I told him I was on energy drinks. I told him I was, taking pre-workouts. I told him, hey, man, this is what's going on in my life. And he said, okay, let's do it all. So he did a test of me, and he came back, a week later with all the results. And when he looked at them, he said, hey, man, you're fine here, you're fine here, you're fine here, you're fine here, you're fine here. And then he just said, hey, look, your vitamin D is a little low. And, maybe your testosterone could be bumped a little bit. It's really what he told me. Mm-hmm. And I took his word, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but when I took him to you, you said, hey, look, I understand that they all say normal. And by the way, the reason they say normal is because the company that takes the test results, it has a above, below, and normal, right? Like you're below. So really it's a grade. And so you said, hey, this may say it's normal, but let me tell you why it's not normal. Can you explain to me why things that maybe a general test you would get would not really tell you the real results?
Right. Let's talk about testosterone. So testosterone is one of the most important in the human body. And I say human body because for males and females, and testosterone is not talked about a lot for girls, but it is extremely important, not just kind of important, but extremely important. And we can get into that a little bit later, but let's talk about lab results. So lab results are important, but a lot of times what we do in medicine, we treat numbers and not people. So, and that's what happens a lot. So say somebody comes in and they have anxiety and fatigue and depression, weight gain, hair loss, mental fog, low energy. Like, man, I'm just not feeling good. And the clinician says, oh my gosh, well, you know what? That sounds like your thyroid. Let's check your thyroid for you. And they say that we're getting all the labs. And a lot of times you only get 1 or 2. Well, there's about 8 different labs that you should be getting for a thyroid evaluation. If you only get 1 or 2 labs, a lot of times those labs, you have about a 95% chance of it falling within the normal range. Okay. and if you're working with someone that only works with numbers and they don't even look or listen or take in consideration the way they should on the way you're feeling, they're going to say, oh yeah, everything's normal, you're good to go. And you're thinking to yourself, my gosh, I don't feel normal. Sorry, these lab results right here, they tell me you're normal. So there's nothing I can do because these numbers tell me you are normal. And that's a tragedy. And that's why so many people are just so frustrated and have lost hope in the medical system, because it's like, they're not doing anything for me. They just give me anxiety pills or, sleeping pills and tell me to eat better and exercise. But I'm trying that, but I don't have any energy to make that happen. So that's where I see it a lot of the time. So even with testosterone, and like I said, testosterone is very important for the human body, male and female. So a lot of times I see this situation. 43-year-old guy comes in, or let's say even 27 or 36, guys are coming in and they have, I have mental fog, I have low libido, erectile dysfunction, I can't hit the gym like I used to, I'm losing my muscle mass, I'm having mental fog. And they're like, man, you know what? I'm having nipple sensitivity and hot flashes at night. Yeah, these are guys telling me this. And they're like, what's going on with me? I feel like I'm a menopausal woman. And it's like, hey, man. And they go, and see, they see me a lot of times after they visit their clinician or other either mid-levels or physicians, and they present the same story. But the philosophy and how we handle each situation is different. That's the difference between conventional and functional medicine. So conventional medicine, a lot of times they say, oh, well, hey, well, that sounds like your testosterone. Let's check your testosterone and see where you're at. And they come back, oh, sorry, Mr. Johnson, you know what? Your testosterone is normal. It's at 300. That's well within range and you're good to go. See, the problem is the range for testosterone is about a 300 to 1200. So yeah, is a 300 normal? But it is far from optimal. So, and that's why we don't treat numbers, we treat people, because someone might feel like a rock star at 300. And if they do, great, man, enjoy your 300. That's where you need to be. If I have somebody else coming into me and they have a 300 testosterone level and they feel like death or the complete opposite of having the vitality that they want, then we need to do something about that 300. Because technically, David, if we're just treating numbers, technically a 300 testosterone should feel the exact same way as 1100, right? Because they're both normal, but they are completely different ends of the spectrum, completely different worlds as far as what the patient experiences. And so that's why we're not looking at one, we don't treat numbers, we treat people. And we're not worried about getting you normal, we want to get you optimal. The lab levels should guide, they should never decide. They should never decide what kind of you should be receiving. They should guide you to a certain point, but it's the clinician's job to help take you to that next level. And so when we're talking about, that's just one example. So when we're talking about hormones, find someone who specializes in hormones, not just, I kind of know something about it. I watched a few videos on YouTube. Find a specialist because and challenge their philosophy. Right? It's like, are you looking to get me just normal within these labs, or are you trying to take me to the next level? Within a normal range, right? Within a non-negligent way, in a non-negligent way.
So let me add in here because it sounds so really, I shared with you my story about getting my labs done at my local, primary care physician. Great guy, knows what he's doing, very experienced, very well knowledged and everything, right? And then, he tells me some lab results look good. You tell me, hey, they could be better, right? And it's not necessarily because, and by the way, and I'm just, a full disclaimer, I work with Steve, but he asked me what my goals were. And then, as far as, how I want to feel, how I want to perform, what I want to do with my life, where I need to spend my energy. And when he did that, I told him that. And then he looked at my, my testosterone and all the other things in my body. He says, you're not optimal to do what you just said.
Yeah.
And so the reason I share this with everybody is because the difference between what Steve did and what my primary care physician did, nobody did wrong or right. They're just trained differently.
Yep.
And
different philosophies. Yep.
Different philosophies, correct. And so because of the philosophy, I think maybe it's not telling everybody here. I don't want anybody to have the impression that they should go to their primary care physician and say they don't know shit,
No, don't do that.
Yeah, that's not what we're trying to say. But we definitely, and I definitely believe that when you want something, it's kind of like if you like something special, you should go to a specialist, right? Like if you like barbecue, you don't go to a pizza joint, right?
No.
You can go to the barbecue place, right? And
exactly.
It's the same concept when it comes to medicine, and that's why there are specialists. But a lot of people, in my opinion, don't understand what somebody like yourself does. And I mean that they didn't know that there's somebody out there that existed that thinks about medicine in a different way.
Right. And I understand that too, because really, before, 2 years ago, when we opened up Restore Wellness, there was nobody. We're the only functional medicine clinic. I mean, some people dabble in medicine, it's hormones or a weight loss program, but to have a fully functional, 100% functional and integrative medicine facility that we can go to receive this type of therapy, really, we're the only one south of San Antonio. So when I got to the Valley, because I'm originally from Washington State, so I've been in the Valley since 2014, And when I came to the Valley, you know, I worked in conventional healthcare, the pill mill, a pill for every ill. We just kind of get people in, move people out, that 7-minute consultation, boom, 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 boom. I'm on my computer, not even listening to you or making eye contact, refill, refill, refill. Here's your lab, see you get in 3 months. And yeah, I stole it. So, I mean, and that's the problem. And it was a battle within myself because I was living functional. I knew about natural medicine, optimization. I was doing them personally. But I wasn't able to practice that way. One, because I didn't have enough time. Two, I wasn't allowed to. So yeah, I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't allowed to talk with people, learn about their story. I was like, you know what, enough's enough. I can't do this. Not why I got into medicine. So really, when I finally decided, like, you know what, I got to practice the way I believe. I got to practice the way I live, and I got to ethically, serve people in the way that I would want to be served. And, so a couple of years ago, we opened Restore Wellness, and it's been one of the best decisions of my life. And people have been extremely happy, enthusiastic. They have that motivation and that dedication that they're looking for. But like I said, and you would be the first person that would agree with this, that everyone needs a coach in life, right?
That I know that, and a health coach is the most important, by the way.
Yeah. And so that's where it came. It's like, hey, you know what? I can't coach you or develop that relationship with you in 7 minutes. So let's sit down, relax. Let's serve you some snacks and some drinks, and let's have a relaxing atmosphere and just share your story. I'll be asking questions back and forth, but I want to learn about you because, like I said, lab results are important, but they should never decide what kind of therapy you should receive, especially when you have larger goals and dreams, things you want to accomplish. Those are the things that are most important, to me and to us and my team, because we want to help you. I mean, that's the whole point. You don't go to the doctor, just say, okay, yeah, I hope I just kind of survive in life, kind of eat by, maybe get a couple new pharmaceutical drugs every year. And, this is the way that life has to be. That doesn't have to be like that. And so this whole concept of, oh, hey, I'm getting older. This is normal for my age. I'm supposed to feel tired and depressed and lose the energy and vitality amount. This is just the way things are supposed to be. And so we are changing, the mindset of medicine to say, that age versus energy. Yeah, we're getting older. We can't stop aging, right? So, but let's figure out how to age well. And let's figure out how to optimize who you are along this journey so you can enjoy life, have the quality of the years and not just the quantity. And that's where, again, we have to sit down and customize it for each individual. Why? Because we're all different.
Yeah, I agree with you. One of the reasons that I sought out somebody like Steve, by the way, the reason that I sought out Steve, or the reason that I was going to my primary care physician to ask him about certain things, the reason that I was doing that is because, in my book, I share a little bit about how people in my life, over the course of my lifetime, I've seen a lot of people deteriorate in their health.
Yeah.
And that deterioration really was not, at first, I didn't understand it. But as I aged, and even after these people had passed, my family members, people that I love, I started to realize that the health that they experienced in their later years wasn't really optimal, obviously.
Right.
But they stole years of their own life and the years of family members because of the lack of understanding of nutrition. It wasn't because they were bad people. It wasn't because they were. I mean, the honest truth, the real word is ignorance, right?
Yeah.
They just didn't know. and I look at that, and as I get older, one of my core principles for me is really to make sure that I live an independent life.
Right.
And independence means I do not necessarily want anybody to wipe my butt or, take care of me, and it's not a man thing. It's a David thing. Like, I feel like I was put here to do good things, and I'm supposed to do them for myself. And then, when I can do enough for myself, then what my abundance is, I'm supposed to do for others.
Exactly.
And that's what I wanted to do. And so when I got on this health journey, I met Steve and I met all these guys, and I was just chasing something. So when people tell me all the time, I can't afford to take care of myself, I can't afford to eat healthy, I can't afford to go to the doctor, I can't afford, I honestly think the opposite is happening today. It's you can't afford not to.
Exactly.
It's becoming. Go
Yeah,
on.
the nice items, the cars, the house, and the shoes, and the clothes, and the toys, and the vacation. I get that. I like those things too. But the health is the greatest wealth, in my opinion, because you can have all those things, but if you feel sick and the symptoms that we're talking about, is it really worth it? And like I
Yeah.
said, there's things that we can do to help you get. And it's not about doing everything all at once. And that's one thing that I think people get scared of. Oh, you're gonna have me. I got to change this and change that all at once. I'm not looking to do that. It's joining everybody along their journey, because, like I said, everybody might have the same goal of achieving this or that, but we're all in different stages along that journey. So I'm going to meet you along that journey, be with you, coach you. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, I don't want to take your power. I want to give that power back to you. I want you to be independent and
There
not
you go.
dependent. I don't want you to be dependent on pharmaceuticals. I don't want you to be dependent on me. I want you to take charge of your health. And that's kind of, again, that's our philosophy of like inspiring people, not to get them motivated, but to get them dedicated and optimistic about their future in their life. Because let's be honest, if we only did things on days that we're motivated, we probably wouldn't do very much, right?
That is 100% true, man.
Yeah. So it's the dedication. It's the medical dedication that we want. But a lot of times people don't know where to go for those answers in that coach, because someone can say to an individual, hey, I want you to eat better and exercise. Well, guess what? Maybe they don't know how. And if you're not coaching them along the way in your 7-minute appointment, you're not going to get very far. So that's why, again, we have different programs and philosophies and routines and therapy modalities to help people, again, achieve their goals, but in a customized way, because we're all different.
Let me add to that, because, one of the things that I think most people think about when they think about health, they think about eating and they think about working out. Like that's, yes. They're not thinking about the actual mechanics of the body, because I don't think that way either. Nobody does. We're not just like, oh, I wonder if my thyroid's optimal or any of that. They're just like, look, I really need to go to the gym, and I really probably should eat more salad than pasta, right? That's pretty obvious. But I think the underlying root here, and this is something that just kind of occurred as you were speaking, is, many people do want to do those things, but they don't have the energy to do them. Like you're like, man, I know I should get up in the morning and work out, but then you can't even roll out of bed.
Right.
I see that. I mean, I don't see it because I don't sleep with people, but I know that's occurring, because you hear people all the time promise themselves, their coworkers, their family, their children, I'm going to start Monday. I'm going to get up. I'm going to show up at the gym. And maybe they do it one day, maybe they do it 2 days, maybe they do it 3 days, but then it eventually comes to the point where they're just like, I can't do it anymore. I'm just so tired. So knowing that, I mean, what do you recommend somebody who's experiencing that right now? I mean, without going to just see you, because that's something I want everybody to do. They should see Steve, and we can talk about that at the end. But is there something that maybe simple things that they may be able to increase energy levels, just things that you think that would just help them a little bit more, that maybe aren't just so common sense?
Right, exactly. And first of all, I agree 100%, because like I said, we can't give what we don't have. And if we don't have that energy, we can't give it to others. We can't give it to ourselves to help us achieve our goals. So yeah, no, I 1,000% agree that just little things that are free, that cost nothing. Sometimes it's not about eating new things or drinking new things. It's about not eating and drinking certain things. That's kind of where it belongs. And that's where a lot of times we start. So some things that can really help with energy is just going to bed an hour earlier, not being on your phone or watching TV or the movies, before you go to bed, because we might turn off that TV, click, screen's off, but our mind is still awake. Our mind, just because we close our eyes and turn off the television doesn't mean that our mind is like, okay, I'll go to sleep too. It's buzzing. It's like, hey, what happened to that Stallone movie or Schwarzenegger movie? What happened to that, right? And so that's kind of what happens. So whatever we do an hour before we go to bed replays in our mind for about 4 to 6 hours. Now we might be sleeping, but the question is, what's the quality of sleep? And that's kind of the philosophy and the questions that we ask, because someone might say to me, oh yeah, I get 8 hours of sleep. That's great. Hey, how do you feel in the morning? Oh, I feel horrible. I'm super tired. Okay, so the numbers might look good, but the quality isn't there. So that's one of the things, trying to go to bed a little bit earlier and not being so active and relax your mind before you go to bed. Another thing is to get up early in the morning, about 15 minutes early in the morning, and just meditate. Just take your deep breath.
What is that? Tell me what that is. Tell me what a meditation is real quick. In terms of summary.
It's just the connection, connection within yourself, connection with your higher power, whether, a connection with God and, whoever that is for you, the earth or whatever that means to you, but really taking yourself outside of the busy realm that you're about to produce and participate in. So for me, I have my scripture readings, I have my daily devotions, and I take that time just to really just kind of relax and have that peace to help fuel my day. And that's what I need. If I don't do that, I feel a little bit off. Or, and so that's kind of one of the things that I do. So that's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Another thing is to go outside and get that first morning sun. That morning sun, that vitamin D from that morning sun. Vitamin D is so important. And here's a little disclaimer too. It's like vitamin D, it's not a vitamin. It's actually a hormone. So we'll talk about that later on the 30th, David. When we but
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, but to get that the most, everybody says, oh yeah, vitamin D, I'll go out in the sun. Okay, that might be true. But in order for us to get the most vitamin D and the best bang for our time is the first thing in the morning, getting outside, opening our eyes, not closing our eyes, but opening our eyes so that sun and all those vitamins and those rays can actually help charge our system. So that's what I do. Kind of get first thing in the morning, just look at the sun and get that goodness from the earth. While I'm doing that, I actually have my shoes and socks off and I'm standing in the grass. It's called grounding. So grounding is a great way to help detoxify your body, to help remove a lot of help flush out in our lymphatic system, the heavy metals and toxins, but also the radiation we get from these little cell phones and 5G that we see popping up everywhere. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic we can get into. But
well, man, don't tell me I got to get rid of my phone, man. Don't do that.
No. It's just little techniques that we'll talk about. So even another little thing I forgot: when you go to bed, turn your phone on airplane mode. Okay, that's another little trick to help your body relax and help your mind relax, your glands, your organs relax from that 5G radiation. Turn your phone on airplane mode, and you'll get a deeper sleep. So
wow.
little things like that, David, like I say, you don't need to go out there and spend thousands or hundreds of dollars or anything like that. You don't need to go join a gym or buy all these supplements or, or whatever. Now, don't get me wrong. I like those things. I think that's part of the process. But if someone's looking at where do I begin? I don't have the pennies that, other people might have to get started. Great. Not a problem. Let's not worry about adding things into your routine. Let's worry about taking things away, like the carbs, like the white breads, the tortillas, things like that. Things that we can have as treats, but when we have those as staples as our everyday routine, that's where the problem's at.
Well, you just insulted a lot of people. No,
I know. So probably not very popular right now.
Well, here's the deal.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody knows that they should. I always tell people, the candy bar is bad. The apple is good, right? We all know that. And one of the challenges I think most people face, and this is just something I've observed, is that it doesn't matter if you have money or not. It doesn't matter if you have the time or not. If you're committed, you'll figure it out. And if you're not, you're not. And many people go through this health journey challenge. I call it a challenge because honestly, I think most of us are going to go through life with health challenges. And I don't mean severe challenges. Obviously, it could be bad. It could be okay. But I think the whole point of getting into a health journey for yourself in every way is really just to always be in touch or in tune with what's going on.
Yeah.
Because, and so, if I had to advocate for anything, it's not just for Steve, it's just for everybody here that watches this to figure out where they're lacking. And if they are, honestly, even just going to the doctor right now would be better than not going, just to test yourself, but going to somebody like Steve would be better. So let's talk about this, Steve. How do you see people? How can they get a hold of you? What can they do to talk to you directly?
Very simple. Like I say, you can find me on social media. Our clinics, Restore Wellness, RGB, on Facebook and Instagram, or just call our clinic. We have an amazing team that will talk with you, that will share all of our services, our philosophies, our routines, things like that. So they call our clinic, just 956-683-6797. And like I said, you'll talk to one of our team members. They are absolutely amazing. And they'll spend all the time that you feel you need to get your questions answered to see if we'll be a good match. Just be honest, maybe this medicine isn't for everybody, and maybe we're not a good match. And so we want to do, what's best for you, and we want to, help those who are searching for answers and just have those questions that may have not have been answered the way they want, or they've been told that, hey, everything's normal, you're good to go, but you don't feel normal, you don't feel good to go. And so those are the people that and the guests that we see, that's like, oh my gosh, finally I have a place where I can relax and share my story and get the answers that I want. So very, very simple. Message us, call us, stop in and say hi. We have plenty of people who are just kind of walking and say, hey, I heard about it, I want to kind of check things out. Great.
What about people who aren't from the Rio Grande Valley? Is there a way that they could get a hold of you? I mean, yeah, can they work with you?
Absolutely. We have plenty of guests, and we call them guests because we see it as an act of service. So our guests from around the country, anywhere from New York to New Jersey to Washington State, California, Colorado, Arizona, Missouri, anywhere in between, we see a lot of people through telemed, and it's a fun ride. It's a great experience.
Great. So anybody who's watching here from abroad or watching a replay, you definitely can work with Steve. You don't actually have to if you want to work with somebody local, I'm sure you can help them find that person. But if you want to work with somebody who I trust and work with right now, currently, I would recommend Steve. So this is not a sales piece. This is really true. I think everybody should focus on their health. I think everybody should do this. In fact, I believe it so much, we're bringing Steve into our mastermind group that's coming in on July 30th. So if you haven't registered for the mastermind, it's a day-long event where we're going to break down the 4 components of an economy, which is health, wealth, values and principles, and how to build a legacy. So all of these things will really come together and show and share with the audience, whoever comes in, and really share with you how it is you can take full control of your life. This is an important thing. I don't think we should wander through life. I don't think we should just get by, as you say. We don't want to survive. We want to thrive. We want to live. We want to grow. We want to advance. I think Tony Robbins says it best when he says, the secret to happiness is progress. Progress equals happiness.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's really important for everybody to get that. And I think a lot of people, honestly, Steve, I think they just don't want to, they feel like it's not worth paying for advice. And what would you say to somebody about, really just investing in health? Like right now, what would you tell them?
You won't regret it. You won't regret it. Because we're investing in your health is something that, again, we won't regret. And like I said, we're interested in what we do is practicing healthcare and not sick care. And we don't want to wait till you're sick to do something about it, or you're on your deathbed, or you have something breaks and now you find yourself in a hospital and surgery and hospice or whatever. Let's get ahead of the game. Let's be proactive and not reactive. So really, that's our philosophy, is say, how can I help you become the strongest individual in the most natural, cleanest way possible, so you can live the life of vitality and energy and achieve the goals and dreams that you want, and not have to be just, okay, I'm going to sit on the couch all day, or I'm in bed, I can't move. So, there's a lot of things that I see on an everyday basis that honestly could have been avoided just from a few small changes. And so that is where I feel that what we're trying to do, as far as have this medical revolution, as far as, again, just asking the questions. That's a great place to start for everyone. Just ask the question, why? I feel something, why? What is causing it? And
why?
Just ask the question, why? We got to ask that question, why? And then when we ask that question, why, let's not give up until we find the answer. And there are answers out there. We just have to know where to go. And that's, even our clinic, one little, clinic off McCall, just one little small clinic, we're trying to reach the masses.
Changing lives, man. You're changing lives.
Hey, and like I said, it's a team, David. It's like, I got to thank you for your dedication and your dream. You're not one there, just the dream of your dreams. You're waking up and making them come true, but you're also sharing that with others. Now, this convention that you're putting on the 30th, it's great. It's game changing. No one else is doing this. I've never heard of anybody else ever doing this, since I've been here. Not even close. You usually got to travel, North Texas or out of the state to find events like this. So I'm super excited, and I think other people should really get involved as well, because this can be something very, very special for the Valley, to help people, again, grow and dream and say, you know what? Why not me? Why can't I do this? Because you and I think the same, and really the only limitations we have in life are those that we put on ourselves. So if you can
That's
dream
right.
it, you can achieve it. And so I think this event on the 30th is going to be absolutely amazing. The energy is just going to be shaken at the Pearl.
Well, you're going to fill us with energy, right? You're bringing some stuff to give us energy.
Definitely. Yes, I'll do my best. That's for sure. I'll do my best.
We're not bringing Red Bulls, right? No Red Bulls.
Yeah, no Red Bulls. No Red Bulls. Yeah, we'll have vitamin B shots or something like that instead.
You're gonna have everybody running to the restroom and jumping off the wall.
Yeah,
right?
that's what we want. That's what we want. But no, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. And like I said, if anybody has any questions, please give us a call. We have a lot of free, we call them discovery calls. Just a free 15-minute phone chat with me to see if we are a good match, to get your questions answered. And we do those every day, and people are really excited, like, wow, this is so cool. Yeah, I'm in. Let's do this. And that's something that's pretty inspiring for all of us.
Yeah, I agree. And I think everybody should take advantage of this. If you haven't met Steve, you'll get to meet him at our mastermind. But if you'd like to see him in person and meet with him privately, give him a call, go visit him. This is important. I can't share, one of the reasons, in my opinion, that most people need to be in optimal health is really just to take care of the people that they love.
Yeah.
And so if anything, if I could advocate for anybody here to worry about their health, I would just say, hey, there are a lot of people who probably depend on you, who need you, who want you to be around for a long time. And your health it can't wait. We say your wealth can't wait, your health can't wait. You can't wait till they go to college. You can't wait, till Monday.
Yeah.
you got to go, man. And I think a lot of people look at, me personally, I feel like people look at me and they're like, yeah, well, he's different than me. And, he acts different and he's got opportunities. We all started the same way, right? We all came out naked. We all were afraid. We were all dumb. We've all acquired, the difference between the people who really can figure this out in life is really the people who are coachable. And that's why, Steve said, hey, everybody needs a good coach. And I think going to events like the one we're putting on, which you're right, nobody in the Valley has ever done anything like this.
Not even close.
It's going to have an impact on, I think, if you're a parent, you want to take your 18-year-old there, I think this would be life-changing for them.
I agree. My 5-year-old will be there. My Max will be there. My 5-year-old will be there.
Oh man, so are you saying we can't cuss? No, I'm just like.
No, yeah. I'll have an earmuffet.
All right. We're gonna have to have like a bell or something when we're about to cuss. Because honestly, I think language is a way to express emotions, and not to say I cuss a lot, because I kind of do, but
yeah.
It's the way I express myself. It isn't to offend people. It's more of a way to emphasize the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a veteran, so I heard a few colorful words myself from time to time. So it feels good.
So all right, let's wrap this up. So everybody here, just to be clear, if you guys want to get a hold of Steve, you can see the numbers right down on the screen. Take it down, give him a call. Restore Wellness, RGV, and it's in McAllen, Texas. But if you're anywhere in the world, literally in the world, Steve can work with you. So don't say this is not, and I'm giving Steve props because he works with me and my wife personally. And I got just testimonial is I've really gone back on my what I tell you, I'm so sorry here, my caffeine. That's one thing that I've noticed is just my caffeine levels. I was really into not sugary drinks though, because I was doing sugar-free energy drinks, but I was drinking 2 of them a day. I was drinking all this caffeine. I was really having to get pumped up like a roller coaster every day. It was like, up and down and up and down. And today I can tell you my energy levels are pretty normal, and I'm off of most caffeine. I just have a little pre-workout and that's it, man. And that's all because of what Steve's helped me to understand and get through. I'm also telling you I sleep better. Man, there's a lot of things that have changed, and this is just literally in a few months. So
yeah. It's all about, again, the reason why we're able to achieve what we were, David, is because we took the time, and we had that relationship and that story. And honestly, it's like, I can give you the best routine in the world and you can make the best suggestions, but if you don't do it, it's not going to work. So, really it's you taking having the not the motivation, but the dedication to get the job done. And that kind of has a ripple effect for everyone that you meet, but also, again, how you're sharing it with everybody for the event on the 30th, and the posts that you make, which is just priceless and valuable. So I thank you for that.
Well, and Steve, I really appreciate you coming. Somebody posted, why are there only 2 viewers? You're watching the wrong. No, there's a lot more actually. That's only on one page. We have actually about 37 right now watching.
Oh,
So
right on. Cool. Hello,
yeah,
37.
so all the people out there, thank you so much for watching. And so
Yeah.
just to promote, last push here. If you have not registered, you can go to davidapettis.com with an A in the middle, David A, and go to the events tab, and you can register for the mastermind or even the launch party. Steve will also be at that event. We're all going to be celebrating. Obviously, this may sound like it's a celebration of a book, but more a celebration of people learning to take control of their lives, because that's really what taking and building your own economy is all about. It's really taking ownership, really taking responsibility, but more importantly, taking your life to the next level. I believe everybody in the world needs to build their own economy, especially after going through such a crazy year. People in fear, uncertainty, stress levels so far up there that you can't believe. You know, literally people fearing for their lives, and it doesn't have to be that way.
No.
It just doesn't, guys. And so Steve's an advocate for health, and I'm an advocate for life.
There you go. Hey.
And we're gonna work together, man. So anything you want to share at the end here before we sign off for the evening?
No, man, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the opportunity. And like I said, for those who are kind of on the fence, just you'll never know unless you try. And I'm not saying that, oh, you got to give me a call. I'm just saying that, just think about what you want, because it can happen. It truly can happen. And I'm not just trying to BS people. It can happen if you want it bad enough. And I think that, in my opinion, what I've given my life to is health. And health, again, is the greatest wealth. And if we can get our lives not just normal, but get them optimal, you will not regret that investment and that dedication that you're putting forth, because it's going to have the returns you're going to get will be priceless, and you'll be so happy that you did.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Steve, for your time. We know it's valuable. I know it's been a long day, but we got to work, right?
Got to work, man.
You got a kid, man. He likes to eat.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, if you're watching this, thank you so much. We'll have another. I'm actually doing 2 or 3 more of these before the event with most of our mastermind presenters.
Awesome.
So if you like Steve, get a hold of him. If you like any of this content, please share it. We would greatly appreciate a share, a like, a comment, a suggestion. One of my professors used to tell me, he said, any comments, questions, or obscene gestures are always greatly appreciated at this point. We just want to know you're watching.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, guys, y'all have a fantastic and amazing rest of your evening, and we'll talk soon. Have a great night, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Eric. Great. All right.